Egyptian Health Minister Hala Zaid and Chinese Ambassador to Cairo Liao Lixiang patiently waited for some special cargo at the Cairo International Airport. The flight coming from UAE was carrying hope on board, a consignment of Egypt's first COVID-19 vaccines.
We have received the first shipment of the COVID-19 vaccine. This is the first of the air freight supplying us with a vaccine. It's a historic day. We work continuously to guarantee the influx of the vaccine to the Egyptian people. That is thanks to God and thanks to the deep friendly relations between us, the Emirati people and the Chinese people.
The vaccines have been manufactured by China's Sinopharm. The company has been collaborating with the UAE and Egypt in conducting phase 3 of human clinical trials. Authorities in the UAE approved the Chinese vaccine in the United Arab Emirates, while those in Egypt gave it the green light for emergency use in the country.
Coronavirus once again in the seat of power. French President Emmanuel Macron has tested positive. The Élysée Palace said he was showing symptoms and would isolate for 7 days while continuing to work remotely. The French Prime Minister Jean Castex also quarantining after coming into contact with Mr. Macron, as is the Spanish head of government, Pedro Sanchez. He's not the only world leader Mr. Macron has met in the last few days either. He has been busy meeting other European leaders.
Hospitals across the southeast of England have begun cancelling non-urgent operations, with some struggling to cope with double the number of COVID patients they had in the spring. It comes as government sources confirmed tonight that there is concern about the new variant of COVID-19, amid fears it could be making the virus more infectious and harder to contain.
The latest survey of community infections by the Office for National Statistics suggests that in England 1 in 95 people had the virus last week, with an increase in case rates. Notably in London, the South East, the East and the East Midlands. There were declines in other areas. In Wales, with 1 in 90, and Scotland with 1 in 100, there were also increases. In Northern Ireland, 1 in 215 had the virus, with case rates no longer decreasing.
And we'll have more from Hugh in a moment. But first, the latest government figures on coronavirus show another rise in infections. There were 28,507 new cases in the latest 24-hour period. The average number of new cases reported per day in the last week is 23,959. The number of people being admitted to hospital is rising too, 1,707 on average each day between now and last Sunday. 489 deaths were reported for the last 24 hours, and that's people who died within 28 days of a positive COVID-19 test. On average, in the past week, there were 434 deaths per day. The total number of UK deaths is now 66,541. Well,
how do we get infected with the coronavirus? Japanese researchers have used a supercomputer to simulate how viral particles move. Their findings show how far even the smallest droplets can spread, and how masks, social distancing and humidity impact the spread of COVID-19. The simulation makes the invisible threat visible and could help people to evaluate risk of infection. Here in Europe, many countries are still struggling to deal with surging infection numbers. In Spain, a nighttime curfew is in place across the country. But as DW reporter Jan Philipp Scholz discovered, not everyone is sticking to the rules.
Every weekend, Madrid police have been knocking on hundreds of doors to shut down illegal parties. Madrid allows meetings of up to 6 people who are not related, but police have broken up parties of more than 200.
Hey, it's Lori. So we're getting a confirmed COVID case.
This is what it looks like when hospitals reach a breaking point.
Get that mask up for me, okay?
Tonight, Central California joining the southern end of the state in crisis. No open ICU beds for a region home to more than 27 million people.
All of these patients throughout this section of the ER have COVID, and they're seriously ill with COVID.
Hallways, lobbies, even parking lots are stacked with the sick.
Tonight, a second vaccine is likely just days away after an FDA review confirmed Moderna's vaccine is just as effective as Pfizer's with 94% efficacy, apparently preventing symptoms and infection. Like Pfizer, anyone getting the vaccine will need 2 shots, but Moderna's vaccine does not require the deep cold that Pfizer requires. That should make it easier for smaller hospitals and clinics that don't have deep freezer capabilities. With approval expected on Friday, nearly 6 million Moderna doses will start shipping Monday. More Pfizer doses will also ship, with 1,100 nursing homes getting their first doses. Today, more hospital staffers were rolling up their sleeves.
The FDA has just authorized emergency use of that second COVID vaccine, Moderna's, putting millions more vaccine doses into the supply chain beginning in just a few days. It comes amid concerns over whether Operation Warp Speed has been slowing, with worries some states aren't getting the allotments they were counting on. The administration tonight projecting confidence in its distribution plans and the vaccines themselves. Tom Costello has late details.
Today, a dramatic move from the Trump administration to boost public confidence in a COVID vaccine. Vice President Pence, his wife Karen Pence, and the Surgeon General on camera receiving the Pfizer vaccination.
History will record that this week was the beginning of the end of the coronavirus pandemic.
President-elect and Dr. Biden should receive their vaccinations next week. Since President Trump recently recovered from COVID, the White House says he will get the shot when his medical team recommends it. At first, the Trump administration suggested Pfizer shipments were delayed. But Pfizer responded, no shipments containing the vaccine are on hold or delayed. We have millions more doses sitting in our warehouse, but as of now, we have not received any shipment instructions for additional doses. The government insists it's shipping what's available. This week, nearly 3 million Pfizer doses shipped. Another 2 million should ship next week. Plus 5.9 million doses of the new Moderna vaccine, more than doubling the vaccine doses available.
We likely will see shots in the arm by the very early part of next week. I would hope Monday or Tuesday.
This warehouse was built as a Grade A facility, Grade A pharmaceutical facility, and it's around about 19,500 square meters in size, the internal dimensions, on a 40,000 square meter plot. What that means is we have capacity for over 70 million vaccines, 2 to 8, and between 3 to 5 million at a -80. In addition to that, we have capacity for another 20,000 pallets in these locations with support material. So our temperature ranges here go from 0 to -36 in the 8 chambers that we'll show you shortly. And then we have special chambers for -80, which allow us to handle the very complex ultra-cold vaccines. It saves the vaccine suppliers and the manufacturers going to multiple parties. We handle everything through the consortium, and we're able to manage the whole end-to-end supply chain.